Hey everybody, welcome back to the 6 round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, I say as always, welcome back, Eddie
I'm
Mercado,
back.
running off to do school and things, get an education.
Yeah, it's
Who
kicking
needs
my
that?
ass. It's tough.
Nah, as a former engineering college dropout, I went to other school, but as a former engineering college dropout, I can totally sympathize.
Yeah, it's not so bad, but
All
it's
right, yeah.
you know, it's not as fun as talking about fights. I'll tell you
No,
that.
no, it's not supposed to talk about fights. So we're coming to y'all just from the close of UFC 309, going down at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York, where John Jones defended his heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic in, I hate to say this because I'm reading our chat, which is very much full of people being like, oh my God, that main card is terrible. I feel so awful, all that. It was a better fight than I thought it was going to be, that heavyweight main event.
I mean, you mean John Jones looked better than you thought he was going to look?
I mean, Stipe Miocic lasted longer than I thought he was going to last.
I didn't know what to expect out of
He,
Stipe, honestly.
my expectation was that they would have that round two where I thought that would be round one, where they just kind of looked at each other and moved around, didn't do a whole lot, didn't take a lot of big chances. I figured that at the very least, Stipe's prestige would get in John's head more than facing Gon or some of these. Hey, fighters, man, Daniel Cormier was so starstruck by Anderson Silva at 50.
Yeah, but Daniel Cormier has a heart.
I
John
know.
Jones is.
I figured he would be a little more tentative with Miocic than he was with Gon. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I guess he was. He
Yeah,
waited a little longer to get the
exactly.
takedown.
He was going to be a little more respectful. All that, and I figured that would be. I figured round one would be that. So for Stipe to go out and press Jones in round one and force Jones to take him down and crush him, that was also that I expected to be round two. Basically, round one, round two, I thought we were going to get the exact opposite, and I figured the fight would end once Stipe got taken down like that.
Okay,
That would be it. Jones gets on top of him, hitting him with elbows. That's the end of the fight. That's it. That's done.
and it almost was.
And it almost was. So the fact that Miocic came back from that, hung around for another round and a half, and then got finished, that is a lot more than I expected out of this fight.
Sure, that's fair. I honestly thought it was going to go the distance.
Yeah.
Because I mean, John Jones went out, submitted Cyril Gahn, big fucking deal, right?
Yeah.
But I had no illusions that was going to happen to Stipe. You don't submit Stipe. That doesn't happen. That's not how he loses. So I figured it would be kind of a stale, almost like an OSP John Jones fight.
Yeah.
But man, John Jones just picked him apart. He picked him apart. And I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for John. Getting that takedown and dropping all those elbows and then having a old and diminished Stipe going into the second round, started working the body. I mean, that was a gorgeous performance from John Jones.
It was the performance. It was clearly enough of a performance for a very old and worn Stipe. It was clearly enough of a performance to convince Jones that he doesn't want to retire yet, which, I mean, obviously we don't want to hang our hat on Dana White said. But it was one of the big things that White was harping on all week, was being like, I know John Jones, if he goes out and beats Stipe Miocic, he's not going to retire.
John Jones is highly intelligent. He's a businessman. So he knows if he's he's what?
He's a psychopath.
Sure. He's like, no, I don't want to fight Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
So that gives him leverage, right? So
Yeah.
he can go back and be like, oh, well, pay me the gazillion dollars I was asking for when you were waving Francis in front of my face. And how about the erasure going on of Francis? Joe Rogan's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, but he fought Francis when Francis was Francis. The fuck does that mean? Francis is the baddest man on the planet still.
Yes, he is the lineal heavyweight champion of
Yeah.
all organizations, all belts.
And everyone's like, oh, Tom Aspinall, Tom Aspinall. I don't really give a fuck about that fight. Tom Aspinall, John Jones. I would much rather see John Jones and Francis or John Jones and Poatan. Honestly, like I'm fine if Jones vacates. He can vacate the title, let Tom go build his own legacy off of the other contenders. I'm fine with that.
The most notable thing about the Tom Aspinall fight that makes it a fight worth making and has always made it a fight worth making is that John Jones doesn't want it. Like, that is the thing about the Tom Aspinall fight. I like Tom Aspinall. He might win, but it is a competitive fight.
I'm a big Tom Aspinall fan. I think he's the rightful heir to the title and the next best thing, 100%. But the thing is, what's in it for John?
Yeah,
John made that perfectly clear.
He did at the very least sound more open to the idea of a Tom Aspinall fight afterward, but he also was very much in the terms of, we're going to have to sit down and talk about things and see what
It's the money. He wants the money, and that's fine.
Yeah. No. So it is I would love to see Aspinall purely because Jones doesn't want it. But yeah, it is.
Fight him.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't ever want to see anybody fight someone they don't want to fight.
I want to see it. I want to, in Jones's case. Maybe in other cases I wouldn't want to see it, but in Jones's case, I very much want to see him fight people he doesn't.
Hey, credit to Jones for his crowd control tonight, right? Like the entire Madison Square Garden was ready to boo John Jones for ducking Tom Aspinall. And he was like, hold on, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Trump dance. And he completely made everyone forget about Tom Aspinall. Didn't even mention his name.
Yep.
Smooth. That was smooth.
It's true. It's
Veteran
true.
move.
He had that crowd won over. And he's going to be in position. The UFC, they clearly, if this fight is any indication, the UFC still very, very clearly wants to be in the John Jones business in a big way. Like, they waited a year of John Jones shenanigans to make this fight. They dragged an ancient Stipe Miocic out of retirement to get John Jones back in the cage for another pay-per-view headliner.
You know, I hate to see it happen to Stipe. That's kind of tough. But, you know, I feel like John Jones...
already retired. Like, they asked him afterward, like, oh, what's next for you? And he's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like John Jones is in that Stipe category. Like, he's not in his prime. I want to see him on like a senior tour, fighting legends, other legend fights. I'm completely fine with that. Relinquish the pound for pound status. I'm here for that. I'm okay with that. He can just be the overall GOAT.
He's not going to do it. Not that man is pathologically connected to anything that certifies his greatness. He is not going to let go.
I understand. But he's already certified. Like he doesn't get any more certified. No one's more certified. Honestly, I want him to retire undefeated. Matt Hamill, I want to see him retire undefeated. I want him to be our Floyd Mayweather.
Oh well, he's got the record both in and out of the cage.
And like Khabib retired undefeated, but it's not the same. Not even close to being the same.
But I don't know. I see, like I said, I'm looking at our chat, and there's a lot of people who are walking out of this being really unhappy, and I get it. It was not with all the decisions and everything. The card definitely hit its action peak much earlier in the night, but I don't know. I think part of it is too that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing last night, debacle,
farce
that just left such a bad taste in my mouth that like this being fine was fine. Like I don't,
No, I'm with you. Well, here's another thing. If you parlay Jake Paul into this, you're not so upset. If you picked up Onama when he dropped to a -145 betting favorite on the live line, you're not that upset.
No.
But I mean, I'm a Cowboys fan. Like when I was little, they were who were winning. I picked them and stuck with them. And the second I picked them, they started sucking. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I saw this meme and it was like, if I wanted to be disappointed at the AT&T Stadium, I could have just went to a Cowboys game.
Yes.
Wow, that was sad. And you had to see Mike Tyson's ass.
Yeah. That was. I didn't even watch the fight live because I was just like, going. I'm like, this fight's going to be terrible. Like you've got a 58-year-old man against a kid who is who works really hard to be a deeply mediocre boxer. Like that is the matchup made to make a terrible fight. My mom texted me. She's like, "You watching the Tyson fight tonight?"
Yeah,
I am.
My mom too was watching the Tyson fight.
And I was like, "It's gonna be terrible. What are you doing?" She's like, "It's a spectacle. I need to see it." And I'm like, it's going to be a spectacle, all right.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah. All right. So.
But also, I think maybe because I'm old, like I didn't mind the Charles Oliveira Chandler rematch. Like I didn't mind the Legends fight with Stipe and John Jones. Like
no, I will say going in, like all of the hate for Jones, Miocic, like it is a cynical matchmaking because you crowned an interim heavyweight champion and that interim heavyweight champion is ready to fight and you're not unifying the title. Like it is cynical to tell everybody this is the fight we need to make to certify the greatness of the heavyweight title. It's not. Like it's just a lie. Outright.
And it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And at least in this sport. Right, boxing's a little different.
This is more cynical than normal.
But just for the record, Tom Aspinall is no longer the interim champion.
Oh, they stripped him?
You have to strip him. What do you mean? The undisputed champion just fought.
But he's not undisputed. It's disputed.
No, sir. The undisputed champion just fought.
No, he's undisputed champion.
By definition, by rule, Tom Aspinall is no longer the interim champion. The champion's back.
They're not gonna strip Tom Aspinall.
That's the rule. That like per athletic commissions, that is the rule.
But that's not the UFC controls all the legacy of their titles. Like they don't.
True, but I'm just saying that's how it's supposed to go. Like that's traditionally the modus operandi. You don't just stay the interim champion as the champion just defended his belt.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. They're gonna leave the interim champion belt on Tom because they want to keep Tom happy.
Maybe
they think they've got something in Tom. They're gonna try to keep him happy.
Well, they do. No, Tom's the man.
Yeah,
Tom is, in my opinion, the best heavyweight right now inside of the UFC. I think Francis could probably smoke him, but that's a conversation we'll have later.
Yeah. For a fight that'll never happen.
True. Well, never say never. Okay. It might end up being like like the John Jones Stipe. It happens way past the time it should have happened.
Yeah, but Francis is already he's knocking on that door of 40 himself, and
true.
He's not even in the same organization. Aspinall,
and that's another thing. Like I would much rather John Jones vacate, leave the UFC, and then go fight Francis in Saudi Arabia or something.
Yeah, I would too. That would honestly be the cool fight to make. Anyway. Jones, he is apparently going to remain champ for at least the immediate future. And we'll find out. Either he's going to give up the title and fight Pereira, or he's going to keep the title and fight Aspinall. And it'll come down to whatever the UFC can negotiate out of him.
He might even keep the title and fight Pereira.
Yeah, that's true. Could happen. All right. That brings us to a lightweight bout. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler.
Hold on, time out before we get there. I think we also need to mention 0 eye pokes.
Yeah.
0 eye pokes in a John Jones fight. That's pretty miraculous.
0 eye pokes on a card with the old gloves.
No, Chandler poked Oliveira in like 10 seconds into the fight.
But did they stop it for an eye poke?
They didn't stop it, but
Yeah, so it's
they
not
showed
an
the
eye poke.
replay. It happened.
Yeah, it's not an eye poke if they don't stop it.
Oh, come on.
No, that's how fouls work. If the ref doesn't call it, then it's not a foul.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
That's
like saying they grabbed the cage. Oh, well, if the ref didn't call it,
then
Zane, it's still a foul. It's an uncalled foul.
Nah, an uncalled foul is just fighting.
No, you can die on that hill all you want.
We had no called eye pokes with the old gloves.
Yes, and the old glove is now the new glove.
The old glove, not the new glove, except for fight night cards where they will be. That is the stupidest shit. I do not understand what the UFC is doing with this. This is a problem they created entirely on their own. People have been calling and asking the UFC to change their gloves for like 15 years. They did not have to do it this spring. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody expected it. It was not something anybody imagined. Everybody knew Dana White loved the old gloves. He never had any interest in changing gloves at all. But they changed them. And by all accounts, they're shitty. At some point, like, I don't want to be the one to trust what MMA fighters say, but they seem to universally hate the new gloves, and the results do kind of speak for themselves. Like,
fewer knockouts
are way down. Eye pokes have not changed. It didn't fix any problem that anybody seemed to have.
I'm going to honestly go ahead and say that the champion wearing the gold gloves is a corny move. They don't look good from a fashion standpoint. Yeah. Not hot, not it. They should stop that. Yeah,
it's corny, and they are stopping it. They're like, oh yeah, we're going back for the old gloves for the pay-per-view, and you start out with 3 knockouts in a row early on this pay-per-view. And it's just like, man, Ramiz Brahimaj is just knocking somebody out. Marcin Tybura just got a TKO.
Well, those were elbows, but whatever.
Well, whatever. Oban Elliott got a knockout. Like, do not go back to these old gloves or to the new gloves. Do not. What are you thinking? Like, why are you testing anything out at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at least they tried something, I guess. Honestly, I'm glad that they're bringing it. They're like reeling it in. Like, hey, we tried something. It's not working out.
It's good. But I'm just saying, like, why half-ass the reeling it in? Just reel it in. Just call it.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's weird.
Just call it. Don't
honestly, it's not fair. It's not a fair. Like, why do they get the old gloves and we got to wear these bullshit ass new ones?
Yeah,
not a good look.
And it sucks. I hate the 50-50 of it, and I don't understand why they're doing it. And all it does is, like, nobody wants to fight in the Apex already. And now it's like, oh, now you not only do you have to fight in the Apex, but you're going to have to fight in the Apex in these shitty gloves. Just
like, why can't they try them out on the Contender Series or something? Like,
they did for a year.
Oh, they actually do. They have their own gloves. I forgot.
Yeah, they did. They did try them out on the Contender Series for a year before they brought them into the UFC, and it just, I don't know. Don't do it. If you hate, if everybody hates them, don't do it. That seems like the right reason to end it, and it's your own deal that you worked out with this company. Just break it off. If you have to pay the company extra money to, like, go away, pay them.
Sure.
But
you're asking the UFC to pay someone.
I know.
Good.
All right. So yeah, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. What a weird ass fight. I could have easily seen 2 10-8 rounds in this fight.
I gave 2 10-8 rounds.
Yeah. Like
2 and 3.
Well, I mean, I kind of think Chandler got a 10-8 in round 5, honestly. Like
I can't give
Oliveira
it
was,
10-8. You get your back taken for that long.
but he was hurt way worse than.
I don't know. You see that nasty stomp at the beginning of the round to the leg of Chandler? He damn near crippled him.
Yeah.
You can't ignore that.
I mean, I can ignore it for Oliveira almost getting knocked out.
Not for a 10-8.
And eating 20 perfectly legal shots to the back of the head. Look.
Oh, Keith Peterson back at it again.
Yeah. Got the smoke in his eyes from the cigarettes.
Yeah, that was wild. Dangerous too. I was a little concerned for Oliveira. Like that's some life-altering blows.
You're gonna fight Michael Chandler. You got to know that you're fighting like Gilbert Ivel level dirtiest fighter in MMA.
Oof.
Man doesn't. Those wine mom throw pillow catchphrases go out the window when he steps in the octagon.
Man, you know what bummed me out? Out of the entire Chandler Oliveira 2, what bummed me out the most was at the very end when Oliveira's on the back and Chandler standing up and he's like jumping back. It's like, fucker, do a front flip. Fall forward. Try to smash this dude's face on the octagon floor. That would be cool. Just the back thing, like you're like break falling with dude on your back. That's lame. Never in the history of ever has that worked.
He couldn't because Oliveira had his leg vined
behind
it.
Bullshit.
He couldn't gain. He didn't have the traction to flip forward.
I don't believe you.
He would have fallen on his own face.
Okay, that would have been fine too.
No.
Anything would have been cooler than just the backdrop.
Yeah. I don't know. That was fine. Round 5 was fine. It was by far the most interesting round of that fight.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Chandler was fighting for his life the whole time. He looked like he didn't belong in there for the first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Like Charles Oliveira turned Michael Chandler into Chelsea Chandler. He was running for his life, full on sprinting.
Between Michael Chandler and John Jones, defensive footwork in MMA is still a completely lost art. Being able to like retreat and circle away from somebody without just turning your back and doing a little jog. Like,
hate to see it. That's timidity. They should actually be able to stop the fight for that.
Yeah, they should. But it is funny though to see a fighters at that elite level who still just very clearly have no idea how to stop getting backed up. Just cannot do it. Cannot pivot to save their lives at all.
I mean, I guess to their credit, they are fighting the very best in the world, John Jones and Michael Chandler.
Yeah, but
that's like you got Charles Oliveira walking you down. I mean, you can't just stand there. I think
Jones did that to against OSP too. Like it's not a.
Well, it's always been both of their kind of.
It's been a thing.
I guess it's like the curse of being the most athletic guy in the room. It's like you can always just explode out of the situation, and sometimes that looks like running.
And it's also 2 guys who really only key their games on walking their opponent down. Like everything they do is about going forward, being pointed forward. These are not people that consider backing up. So when they're forced to, it's just like, oh, I better just So it was a weird fight between Chandler and Oliveira. Chandler really did not. I mean, it took. I will say big credit to Chandler for having that left in him in round 5.
Yeah. Oh, he fought his ass off.
Because we have seen Chandler so many times, like he usually gets too tired. I would have figured by the time round 5 came around that he did not have that left in him.
Well, he did have like 2 years to get.
It's true.
Poor guy, man. I feel so bad for him.
I know. He doesn't want you to feel bad for him, Eddie. He doesn't want you to feel bad for him. He refuses your pity, which makes it all the more pitiable because
it's like he sat out all this time to miss out on the massive payday just to get fucking schooled again by Charles Oliveira, despite having the good, 5th round.
Yep. And then he still calls out Conor McGregor. Like,
He should have stuck with the Max Holloway for the BMF.
yeah, but I mean, that's the thing though, is that he knows he's not going to get that fight because there are like other people calling for the BMF. You know, Dustin Poirier is out there calling for
Oh yeah.
the Max Holloway rematch, and that's just like Max Holloway's going to take that fight. He doesn't need. So all he's really left with is Conor McGregor is still out there, like this boogeyman sort of, you know.
It's like Santa Claus.
It
He's
is
like
like
waiting for
Santa.
Santa to come down the chimney.
It's not going to happen. There's no reason it's going to happen. Conor McGregor is not fighting again. This last year has only made that much clearer.
What Chandler needs is a Bobo. He needs to fight someone that doesn't belong to be in there with him. Like he needs to fight a can.
That's his whole thing about Don't Pity Me is he would never take that fight. He only wants to fight dudes that can kill him.
Well, then the UFC needs to pull a bait and switch on his ass. Be like, oh, you're fighting Max Holloway. Oh, Max Holloway pulled out. And you're fighting fucking random. Okay. You're fighting this Yon Top guy.
Yeah, you're fighting Jim Holloway. They'll fight a guy who's still got the name, and then just punt him in there.
Yeah,
you're fighting Emma Holloway, and it's Maurice Holloway.
His cardio was on point, though. I'll say that.
Yeah,
it's the best it's ever looked. His defensive responsibility, the same as it ever was.
Yes. I cannot even think of another top tier elite level competitive fighter who has so absolutely little skill when it comes to defending himself in any situation. Like that man, as exceptionally violent as he is offensively, he got double legged into mount by Charles Oliveira. And like I know Charles Oliveira is a good wrestler and a good grappler, but like you are like Mr. Collegiate wrestler, D1 wrestler guy. You are all about I am a fire plug shaped human who cannot be thrown off of his game. And you got double leg straight into mount.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying about him backing up and not used to backing up. You know, he's in panic mode, all bets are off. Everything breaks down.
Okay, actually, I do like this idea. Somebody in here saying, "Give him Paddy Pimblett."
I don't think Pimblett would take it. I would love to see it.
I don't think Pimblett would take it, but I would. It is honestly like that is a good fight booking.
I would love to see it.
There's nothing real. There's no easy answer of what to do with Michael Chandler. Like you could book him with Matej Gamrot or Beneil Dariush, but nobody cares about those fights. Fiziev is basically retired, as far as we can tell.
Maybe Dariush, but I feel like, man, he got old fast.
Yeah,
Dariush, he turned old overnight.
The only other guy, like the only guy other than like Paddy Pimblett I can see among the elite, among the top 15 that would make sense for a Michael Chandler fight right now would be Benoit Saint-Denis.
Nah, he needs to fight Rufy.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. But you know what?
That is a lame call out from Mauricio Rufy because Benoit Saint-Denis is coming off 2 straight losses, both of them knockouts.
You know what might be a good fight? Michael Chandler and Alexander Volkanovski. Put him in there with Volk. Volk needs a win. Chandler needs a win.
Yeah, he could. He could. I don't know. Something in my gut hates that. Is there like a welterweight that Chandler could fight? He's been trained to fight at like middleweight for the last 2 years.
They could rematch Tony Ferguson.
No, God, no. You could do like Wonder Boy.
Oof.
I don't know.
I thought he looked good at 55. Let's keep him at 55.
No, yeah, I know. But I like the Chandler Pimblett idea. That to me is a really good use of both men. Just convince Pimblett to take it. All right. And for Oliveira, yeah, I mean, we'll see if he gets another title shot out of this. We've got Topuria or Makhachev facing Tsarukyan right now for the title for UFC 311. And I suppose, I mean, Oliveira did have a good fight with Tsarukyan, so if Tsarukyan can win that, then yeah, that's a rematch that
He
makes
had
sense.
a debatable fight with Tsarukyan.
Yeah.
Debatable.
He could have won that. But he did not have at all a close fight with Makhachev last time. Makhachev smoked him.
Yeah.
So if Makhachev is still champ, like I guess you can rebook it because Oliveira will be the top contender at that point, but it's not. Like,
yeah, the risk there is if maybe Ilia Topuria wants to be like, oh, I want to fight Makhachev, he would get privilege, I think. Or if Makhachev was like, hey, I want to go fight at welterweight, maybe because with Bilal having that foot issue, but he's out of the picture.
Oh yeah, true.
So Makhachev could sneak in and and who cares if they stripped them, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine Shavkat and fucking Islam Makhachev? Holy shit. That's a fight.
Yeah.
I need to see that.
That would be a lot of fun. But we'll see. We've got Makhachev versus Tsarukyan up next. Oliveira is tentatively in a top contender spot, but like I say, there are. If Makhachev wins that Tsarukyan fight, then Oliveira as a title contender, like sure, you can do it, but
from his perspective, it's like, okay, I just rematched this guy. Now I'm rematching this guy. It's like, okay, I'm lapping the division.
Yeah,
I need to carry my ass to welterweight or fight a smaller featherweight champ coming up.
Yeah, the other option would be at some point, as mentioned here, do Dobronx versus Holloway.
Did they fight at 45 back in the day? Or did that never happen?
They did. They did. That was when. That's right. That's when Charles Oliveira had that weird esophagus injury. Yeah.
Okay.
So
completely different Oliveira.
Yes, that would be a good fight to book for Charles Oliveira.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to a middleweight bout. Bo Nickal, Paul Craig. And this is where the main card really started sucking.
I was afraid this was going to happen.
Yeah. This was just like, man, the last thing on the face of the planet I want to see is Bo Nickal have a kickboxing match with Paul Craig.
I have several thoughts about that. Like, I appreciate Bo Nickal, the collegiate national champion wrestler, going out into a UFC fight and working on his striking, right?
Yeah.
In his 7th fight ever. I can appreciate that. And this is a FIQ test for Bo. Like, you don't go to the ground with Paul Craig. Like, you're asking for. That's the only place he has a path, right? But on the same token, if I ever wanted to see two guys grapple, it's these two, and they didn't do a fucking lick of it.
Yeah, and I mean, the 30-27 Bo Nickal, that's a very generous 30-27. Like,
is it? How? They landed the same amount of strikes in the first round. And I'll argue that the better ones were from Bo Nickal.
I'm not going to say Bo Nickal didn't win the fight. I'm just going to say that it is not a dominant striking performance from Bo Nickal. It's
not even a good striking performance from Bo Nickal, but it is him getting time on the feet.
It's him getting time on the feet, which is...
Honestly, he's not going to have that opportunity again. This was as easy as it's going to get on the feet for him. So if there was ever a time in his development to practice against someone reasonably good It's against Paul Craig, the
This is
least
why you don't,
venomous.
as a fighter, rush yourself into the limelight, because this is the kind of practice you should be getting at this point in your career against some dude in a main event of an LFA card in, a casino in Connecticut.
Sure.
Like, there's nobody needs to see you getting this kind of work in and then have you go out and talk about how proud you are that you just schooled and dominated Paul Craig.
On paper, he did, I guess, with that 30-27.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that 30-27, that is not Bo Nickal schooling Paul Craig in any sense.
No, it's Bo showing that he's still incredibly green on the feet.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were things I did like. I liked the way he was setting up his overhand by going to the body.
I liked him going to the body. I will give him that 100%.
But honestly, I need to see these guys grapple. Someone needs to set this grappling match up. I don't care if it's the Karate Combat grappling or the Fight Pass Invitational or Polaris. I don't care. Anything. I know the UFC is getting into grappling. They need to rebook this as a grappling match because I feel like us fans were robbed.
Yes.
We were robbed of something that could have been really cool.
Yeah. This was a point. It's good for Bo Nickal to get the cage time, but this was otherwise a pointless fight for fans.
I saw a lot of criticisms about Bo switching stances with his striking when he's not yet a UFC level striker. And it's like, it's when you have these guys who are collegiate wrestlers, they traditionally stand with their dominant hand in the front, so with their power leg, I guess, or dominant leg in the front. And so these guys switch stances a lot because when they're learning striking, they want to stand in the other way, but they're being trained to stand in an orthodox stance because they're right-handed more often than not. And so it makes for a wonky transition there. So
it's actually, a lot of times you'd see in the older days when fighters didn't have to be that good at striking, you would just see you'd see wrestlers become converted southpaws because they were so used to standing in the southpaw stance to wrestle that they would just strike in that stance. And it's kind of a weird proposition these days because honestly, like, you don't want to have a different stance to strike than you do to wrestle. And like I was thinking about,
unless you can switch stances.
Yeah, but even then, then it's just a tell. Like I'm thinking of Nick Maximoff, and he's a dude who, like, when he was gonna strike, he would very clearly be in one stance.
And I see what you're saying.
Stances, and you're like, oh, he's gonna wrestle now. He can't punch out of that stance.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that.
No, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's a nudist Buddhist. You can't be doing that.
Yeah. So it is one of those things where, like, that, and I mean, MMA does have this whole meme problem of, like, switching, where Rogan and DC were on this all night, where they're like, if you're going to be a high level striker, you got to switch stances all the time. It's like,
you don't have to.
No, but that is, like, it is such a mantra right now in MMA, like, camps where
there's a heavy advantage if you are proficient on both sides.
Sure, if you're actually ambidextrous, but if you just are like, I'm going to spend half the fight fighting out of a stance where my defense is shit, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an elite striker, you should be able to switch stances.
Sure.
That's part of making adjustments,
Yeah.
But I remember a time where the wrestlers who were coming over into MMA all had just a bodacious overhand, all of them, and they weren't afraid to throw it. Bo, it was afraid to throw it. Mm-hmm. He respected the striking of Paul Craig.
Well, and also I think he respected the grappling too much, because it's like, if you're going to be this hot shit wrestler, part of the sellout for wrestlers on that overhand was the idea that you didn't know, were they going to duck in and hit a double leg, or were they going to land the punch? And if you're just like, oh, I'm afraid to take this guy down, as the world's most hot shit wrestler, then you can't sell out on like there's no fake, you know?
It's tough though, because it's a FIQ test. It's like, why would you take Paul Craig down?
Sure, but if your
MO
Craig,
is to get time on the feet, you stand with him.
yeah, but if Paul Craig is the limit to your grappling game, then like there are going to be other fighters.
But that's not necessarily the case. If the plan was to get time on the feet and strike,
I know.
That doesn't mean he's afraid of it. That means he's trying to work those areas while he has someone in front of him who's not is the least dangerous guy he's going to face for the rest of his career on the feet.
Yeah, that may be. I'm still just not all that convinced by him talking about how hot shit that performance was. But
how about, well, he got his win bonus, so at least there's that. But how about the crowd chanting overrated?
Love that. Love that, honestly. Like, you know what? If you're going to go out on that kind of stage and you're just going to go out and get some sparring time in to work on your game, then you're going to get a humble check too. Like, you have put yourself in a position where you are meant to be a main attraction, and that's what you want. Bo Nickal has stated, like, I will never fight on the prelims. I will never fight off of pay-per-view. He has said that out in bold. He put that pressure on himself to say, like, I am going to be in a position where I am always expected to thrill you. So
I think he underestimated the stand-up of Paul Craig.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he thought he was going to be able to just knock him out, come out, wing some overhands, and that was it.
Yeah,
because that happens to Paul Craig. But I think
from
it was
better strikers than Bo Nickal, it happens to Paul Craig.
Yeah, right. Which that's what I'm saying. Like, I think this was like a reality check for Bo. It's like, oh shit, because he debuted with that crazy uppercut. That might have been his debut fight against some random off the street guy. Nasty uppercut. But like that doesn't work up here at the high level. So
no, that guy he hit with that uppercut was like 5'6" in shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like tiny.
In platform shoes.
All right. So people are asking what we should we do next for Bo Nickal. I had an idea. It would be a huge test and a fight he very easily could lose.
Nikita Krylov?
No, that's light heavyweight. We're middleweight.
Wait, would you say Krylov's a heavyweight?
No, light heavyweight.
Is he? I thought he dropped down to middleweight.
No, he was Nicky Thrills was all set to fight.
No, I can't keep up.
He was all set to fight Azmat Murzakanov on this card at the light heavyweight. But here's an idea. Just throwing it out there. Kelvin Gastelum.
Sure.
Why not? I think it's a good idea. What the hell are you going to do with Kelvin Gastelum?
I guess it's just that I'm not exactly excited to watch Bo Nickal fight again after this.
Well, yeah, there's that.
So I don't really care who they put him up against. Someone he's willing to take down. That's what I want to see.
Kelvin Gastelum being a tiny guy might make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's struggled in the past with wrestlers. We saw what Chris Weidman did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And Gastelum's also really experienced. He is a better boxer than Nickal when he wants to be. So
what about Chris Weidman?
No. Keep Chris Weidman away from MMA. This was the God saved us tonight.
I disagree.
Do not put that.
I disagree.
Old I think
this.
There.
I think I'm so bummed that fight didn't happen because this would have been the perfect moment for Chris Weidman to retire in his home state. Perfect send off. Whether you go get shit kicked and then just be like, "This is it for me, guys," in front of his home crowd. That was the send off.
He had that last time when he beat technically Bruno Silva in New Jersey.
Yeah, but he won. And I mean, he's like this close to retirement. It's all he talks about now.
I know. That's why
he needs to lose.
Somebody else saying the Iron Turtle, and I'm always happy to recommend the Iron Turtle for anything. I don't want to see the Iron Turtle. I don't want to see my guys lose to Bo Nickal. I don't want that. Not after this. Bo Nickal's not fun enough for that. So, no, not one of my guys, but I would say Kelvin Gastelum, or if you really want to be like, if you want to have the potential to be very mean, but also make it fun, you could do Gregory Rodriguez.
Oof. Holy shit. Yikes. That's oof.
Might just crush him, but Rodriguez is also breakable. So that would be like a real.
Oh, where's Chidi Njokuani? Where's he at?
He's a welterweight. He dropped a division.
Did he? What's wrong with all these guys, man? Holy shit. He's a welterweight?
I would also like to just see the pinkest fight of all time and do. I will still campaign for Bo Nickal, Joe Pyfer. They're
not the same person.
Yeah, right.
It's like Joe is the striking side of Bo Nickal, and Bo Nickal is the wrestling side.
Yeah. Somebody else saying Bruno Silva, and that's just cruel. I don't know. Bruno Silva does not want to fight again. I do not want to see Bruno Silva.
Yeah, his last performance was really sad.
Yeah.
Who did he lose to?
He lost to. Oh my God, who did he lose to?
It was a really sad fight.
Yeah. Oh, he lost to Ismail Nardiev, the regional self-styled Austrian wonder boy who went like 3-4 fighting for Brave FC after he got cut by the UFC. And they brought him back, and even Nardiev was like, oh my God, why? And he beat Bruno Silva, and it was just super depressing.
Well, maybe we'll have Bo fight him.
No, Nardiev?
Yeah.
Okay. No, have him fight Joe Pyfer. That's...
Sure, okay.
Pyfer's violent. They're both practically translucent for how pale they are. Do that.
Sure. Some ginger on ginger action.
Yeah.
All right. I'm here for it.
That brings us to a women's flyweight bout. Vivi Araujo beat Karine Silva. And technically, I do not think she won that decision.
Fair.
Karmically, I absolutely think she won that decision.
I scored it for Araujo.
Whatever.
But I gave her the first round. But I could easily see what happened at the end of that round, swaying people to give it to Silva.
Yeah, she won 90% of that round. So giving it to her is totally justifiable. But if I'm going on a damage first criteria, she definitely got the most damaged in that round, right at the end.
Fair. That's fair.
And then, even round two, she lost 75% of round two, but she ended it in a dominant position.
That is true too.
Another
sticky round.
Two sticky rounds. And then Karine Silva burnt out and went to Flop City. And
she was looking like LeBron James out there with the flops. This looked like a soccer match with all the fucking flops.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. Araujo was the one on her bike. Okay?
Yeah.
Silva got tired chasing her down. Usually it's the other way around. You got tired coming forward?
I have said this about Karine Silva all the way through. I don't like her game. I don't like it. It is not... She does not have good footwork anywhere. She does not connect her strikes well at all. She does not have fluidity between the things she throws. She does not have a wrestling game that is constructed around good technique or
grappling.
And her grappling game is incredibly chancy and very opportunistic. It's
uneducated.
Yeah.
Like she hit a takedown and like stepped over for no reason just to give Araujo the sweep. I'm like,
everything she does is all predicated around her athletic ability.
It's all bravado and confidence.
Yeah.
And mindset. Like she has the mindset.
She
doesn't have the smarts
enough. that she's fast and strong enough that Araujo's out there like beating her up for 4.5 minutes in round 1, and Silva can just land one shot and rock Araujo's world. Like, there is power there that a lot of women don't have in her division.
She's got dumb feet, though.
She has really dumb feet. And so when she actually did get to a point where she just kind of started to run out of ideas, where she had really been pressed, because Araujo fought a really good fight. She stayed safe. She stayed controlled. She made Silva come to her and met her with intercepting strikes all throughout. And when Silva got a little bit tired, got a little bit worn out of that, then all of a sudden you just see how badly the game falls apart, how little there is to support it. And
this is 3 rounds. Like, they're talking about her being like the next thing, the next challenger, next contender, whatever.
Yeah.
You're not doing 5 rounds of that.
I had somebody in one of the Vivies being like, "Oh, why would you want to see Karine Silva? Like, why would you want to see McGee versus Martinez replace Silva Araujo on the main card? They're priming Silva for a title run." And I'm like, I don't think Silva's good enough for that. She's not. Yeah. I don't like her game. So, like I say, technically, I kind of think Silva won this fight. I think she very easily could have captured the first 2 rounds on damage.
Yeah.
Karmically, I am really glad to see her lose, because her game needs so much refining that has just not happened. It's not
I think
the
flopping alone should have been grounds for losing.
Yes. To me, that is a timidity where, like, the ref should be stepping in. And
Zane, going in, it's like, if you were like, there's going to be one fighter on this card who consistently flops the guard, I would have been like, oh, Paul Craig all day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It's Karine Silva.
Yep.
What the fuck?
So, big win for Araujo. Is she still ranked? Does that actually do anything for her?
She was ranked higher than Silva coming in. It gets her back into the win column.
She's ranked 9. So that could easily set her up for a fight with Jasmine Jasudavicius. I don't know. So many of the women outside the top 5 in that division are on a loss right now. So Araujo, if she wants to go win or loser, could set her up for a fight with like Tracy Cortez or Caitlin Sermonara, Nichukagian.
I think Jasudavicius is where it's at.
Yeah, but the Jasudavicius fight, that would make sense. Yep. I've been liking what she's been doing lately. So, yeah, that'd be fun. Do something like that. And for Karine Silva, this is a reality check moment that hopefully she can take something away from, because her game is just messy. And it's a lot more messy than it should be for a 30-year-old who has been fighting for 11 years. Like,
she might be a finished product, Zane.
Yeah, I think she is, honestly.
So if she doesn't get a favorable stylistic matchup, she might not be winning.
Yep. All right. That brings us to a catchweight bout. Mauricio Hufi versus James Yontop, or James Yontop, I suppose. And this was, you know what? I feel bad for the Yontops of the world.
You feel bad for Yontop?
A little, because he is clearly a dude who does not have the athleticism, but has all the toughness and works really hard and goes after it and puts all the hours in the gym and does everything he can to try to be a good fighter. And then some dude like Hoofy comes out there and just like dances around on his back foot, gives up all the initiative, makes all sorts of errors, and then just crushes him with like every 5th strike.
I don't feel bad for that. Like it's you're fighting someone better than you.
It's the unfairness of athleticism.
That's not just that. That's not a fair statement.
I mean,
Yontop did not lose because he was the less athletic guy out there.
He definitely lost because he's the less.
Fuck no. You are totally sleeping on Mauricio's timing. His timing is mwah.
His timing is mwah because he's like twice as fast as Jan Top.
No, being fast is not enough. Having that fight timing, that is such an asset, and it's an overlooked asset. It's not just because you're athletic. There's plenty. Look at Michael Chandler. He's hyper athletic. He's not doing that shit.
He's also won a lot more big fights than Hoofy at this point. I mean, Chandler, you know, his best days may be behind him, but let's not pretend that Chandler hasn't at least shown already a higher ceiling than Hoofy.
I mean, he was fighting in Bellator.
Okay, but Eddie Alvarez was a legit great
and it was
fighter.
A different time. That's a completely different time.
I
think you're sleeping on the skill set of who. I think it's the fighting nerd bias you have.
I do have a deep fighting nerd bias. There's no question about that. And Hoofy has great timing. I'm not going to take that away from him either. But Jan Top went out there and did a lot of good work pressuring him with good combinations. And
if this were a fight at the regular weight class, it would have been a knockout.
Oh yeah.
Make no mistake about the extra weight helping out here.
Well, and Jan Top's skull is, I think, just cement.
No, he's a dog. He's a dog. Yeah. But he was in there with a better fighter. So much so a better fighter that when Roofy petered out, he was still better and good enough to not get finished. He had zero gas left, and Jan Top is pouring it on and still just kept letting Roofy skirt away and brush away and do all this smooth technical
There's a lot of smoothness and technicality to Hoofy's game, but the on top is also just really slow. Really slow.
And short notice. We also need to mention that.
But it is Jan Top is a slow guy. That is just his burden to bear.
He's got a motor though.
No, I mean, the nice thing about not being fast is you don't burn energy.
I don't know, because I feel like he's trying to keep up with everybody else, so that burns energy too.
It is.
I think he's just a dog.
He is a dog.
He has face tattoos. He's a fucking dog.
No, he's absolutely a warrior. I hope that the Booth's optimism that the UFC will reward him for showing up and putting on a real great scrap here is.
He should.
He
kept Murphy on the card.
But that promotion does not have a great track record of rewarding guys for doing them favors.
And another thing I think that's highly underrated about Roofy is his vision. He is really great at keeping the fight in front of him, seeing everything, reacting to things appropriately. The vision and the timing together.
Part of that is he doesn't lead. He's a fighter who only sits back and waits for something to come to him.
It's beautiful. I got no issues with that. I think it's gorgeous. I love his style. It's gorgeous.
It is an interesting style. I am interested because it's so anti the meta out there right now of pressure and volume to be a guy who is just sitting back and doing. I mean, he's kind of, without the karate, he's kind of doing the Machida thing, right? He's drawn you in to intercept with big timing and power.
Yes.
And that is not the way the sport goes these days. So it'll be interesting to see how he can carry that forward because, sooner or later he'll get in there with guys like Poirier or Holloway or
maybe
guys like that.
Those guys might be gone by the time.
Those guys might be gone, but the guys coming up around them still in that division, they're modeling that game. That is the meta that is going on out there.
I like his style.
It's fun. It's a good counterpoint. He's also not a nerd, though. Just saying it. I don't care how many cool big ass skulls you have tattooed on your back. Even that's not a nerd tattoo.
Sure. No, I hear you. I hear your complaint about them not being nerds loud.
That man has never cracked one of those blue test books in his
But
life.
you know where the fighting nerds come from, right? Why they're the fighting nerds.
Well, it's not Kyle Bahia. You're not going to.
No, it's the guy their coach that started it all. He decided to become a fighter late in life, realized he wasn't athletic.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I'm just going to coach.
No, and I get that. I'm sure he's a real nerd. I've seen him. He looks like
he's a real nerd. 100% real nerd.
Yeah. The rest of these kids,
I appreciate them paying homage.
You know what? The nerdiest thing he ever did is he went down to the beach and found all of the really buff dudes who had nothing to do and was like, hey, come try MMA. And now he's got a gym full of like the most chatted out Brazilians wearing these fake broken glasses, being
brilliant.
Like, we're nerds.
It's brilliant.
Hey, you know what?
Because they're crushing it right now.
They are.
They might win like Camp of the Year on if anyone does awards anymore. I don't know, but
all right, we got to get through the rest of this. We've been spinning our wheels already. Marcus McGee, Jonathan Martinez. I was really excited to see how McGee would show up in this, and I will say he got a win, a definite win. Not the greatest performance.
I thought he started strong.
He started strong, but he didn't pressure Martinez nearly as much as I would have expected, and Martinez, for his part, didn't kick McGee nearly as much as he should have. Clearly,
Martinez was gun shy for the first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
it's like he tasted that power early and was like, "Okay, I need to just sit back and make some reads and think about what I'm going to do because this man cracks."
Yeah, I do think this might be the right read. That Martinez versus McGee was the battle of southpaws that looked bad against southpaws, where they both just looked a little bit like they weren't sure how to have their fight. And McGee did better in that. He man has heavy hands. He is fast as hell. He did a great job when even though he wasn't being given his normal counter combo opportunities, did a great job leading with strikes that Martinez couldn't counter and putting strikes out there that were not easy for Martinez to come back at him with. But Martinez also just looked gun shy. So.
I think it's also to point out the fact that this was a major step up in competition.
Oh, yeah.
You go from Gaston Bolaños to fucking Jonathan Martinez.
And you still get a win? Like, I'm
not only a win, but you get the first decision win of your career.
Yeah. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to get off the McGee hype train. I'm just going to say, I think, this will be a fight for reflection from him. Like, okay, why didn't this go?
At minimum, it shows that he belongs in the ranking.
Yeah.
At minimum. And you gotta question Martinez's fight Q here. Yeah. I was having flashbacks from Sean O'Malley versus Andre Sukumtat. It's like, you got this guy on one wheel. Why are you clinching with him?
Well, and the thing too is that also you could have had this guy on one wheel if you had come out with that kicking game. Like
100%.
This could have been the fight all the way through for you. You did not have to settle for.
Nah, he was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and it cost him the fight.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think the fight you got to do.
Aldo?
This is never. No. I don't want to see that.
Font?
And this is a fight I never would have thought that I would ever say is a top 15 fight to make, but McGee's Zahabi. I want to see that fight. Zahabi's looked good.
No, he has. I've been on his train the whole time.
And I'm interested because these are two guys that are just breaking into the rankings now in their mid-30s already. Like, they are in sink or swim mode completely. Put them together. See what happens.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with McGee getting an Aldo fight. Someone that's not going to hold him against the cage. That'll actually just stand with him the whole time.
Oh, wait. What about
Marlon Vera?
Mario Batista?
Motherfucker. You know what, Zane? How dare you? On a night John Jones makes his comeback and proves himself to be the greatest of all time yet again. How dare you? You ought to be ashamed. You wonder why I was gone for 2 weeks. That's
right. You're still salty over Mario.
That motherfucker, man. Oh, How about the rare 10-8 for Henry Cejudo when Bautista rolled up on him and was like, "Nah, dude, you can't be boring. Sorry." Did you see that?
I didn't. But
Oh, you were in Mexico probably.
yeah,
Mario Bautista rolled up somewhere that Cejudo was trying to be like, "Hey, let's do this. Let's fight." And Cejudo was just like, "Nah, bro, you're boring. You got to stop being boring."
I keep saying that, like, fighters, the worst thing you can be for trying to get up the rankings and fight ranked guys, the worst thing you can be is boring. If you're really dangerous and you go out and you brawl and you knock people out and you are just a killer, top ranked guys will actually want to turn around. They'll want to fight you. They'll be like, you know what? That's a cool fight. It might be dangerous.
Yeah.
But we
because
saw
that's the thing. Fighters like to be scared.
Yeah.
They like that. It's fuel. It wakes them up in the morning. Like, damn, this guy might kick my ass. I need to wake up. I need to go run, do road work, put in extra rounds, train on Christmas, whatever the case. So,
but if you're boring, they'll just be like, nope.
Look at Marab. How long did it take for Marab to get a title shot? Bilal, Leon Edwards.
Yep.
Like, if you're a decision machine, you're not.
People don't want to fight you. They don't want to. They don't want to have a fight where they lose and nobody likes the fight. That's the worst.
That's the worst way to get any kind of leverage.
Yeah. All right. Highlight of the night: lightweight bout. Jim Miller, Damon Jackson.
Yes.
One for the old guys.
Yes.
Jim Miller. I picked Jim.
Oh, I picked him too.
Yeah.
This is a horrible stylistic matchup for Damon Jackson. Horrible. He's moving up a division.
Yeah.
And you're going to come out grapple Jim Miller? I don't fucking think so. You're going to Gilly Town.
Was beautiful.
Armin Gilly? What?
Absolutely beautiful. And of course, then, Jackson at the same time afterward makes you feel that extra like, oh, thank God I didn't pick him, because he immediately retires. And when a fighter is thinking of, when they're getting ready to retire after a loss, that's a fight they've already been willing. They're already willing to lose.
Yeah, they're half out the door for sure.
Yeah, they're half out the door.
And Miller's not that.
No, Jim Miller does not. You can tell that man does not think about retirement ever.
Yeah,
ever.
He loves to fight. He loves what he does. And I'm here for it. This was his 45th fight in the UFC, I think. Was it? No, not in the UFC, just overall. Or was it in the UFC?
It's like
overall?
His 30th in the UFC.
Yeah, that's wild.
Do they have just a UFC record? No, they don't. But no, they have it over here on the Jim Miller. His Endeavor record, which is just his UFC record for him. He has had. That was his 45th UFC fight.
Yeah, that's insane.
45th UFC fight.
Holy shit.
His 57th fight.
This man is a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Hall of Famer. Future Hall of Famer.
Deserves it more than Donald Cerrone.
I mean, that's a weird thing to say.
Look, when they made Donald Cerrone a Hall of Famer, I'm not against it, but you set a very realistic. That is the bar. Like, that is a low bar for Hall of Fame.
You want to say that the company doesn't typically look out when you're a company man? Cowboy Cerrone is.
Well, he was a company man to end all company men,
and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
but no, how could you not put him in the Hall of Fame? Cerrone was Mr. Short Notice. He was ready to fight anyone, anytime.
Look, I'm not saying he can't be a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying that that's the bar. If you're worse than Donald Cerrone, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame.
It's the body of work. It's not the talent level. It's the body of work.
Sure, but that's the body of work bar. If your body of work is less than Donald Cerrone's, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
And I will argue that Jim Miller's body of work is better than Donald Cerrone's.
I'll agree. Although I don't think Miller's ever fought for a title.
No, he hasn't. But
you can't take that away from Cerrone.
You can't take that away from Cerrone. But Miller's the records he has set through his longevity are actual. That is his kind of longevity is unreal.
He
Like,
is the Iron Man of the UFC.
That is truly unique. More so than fighting for a title. That kind of longevity.
I hate that they say Chael Sonnen's a Hall of Famer because a fight got in.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? That's the lamest thing I've ever heard of.
It is.
Like, you're not a Hall of Famer. Your fight was. You had one fight that made it to the Hall of Fame. Get the fuck out of here.
So, love seeing that for Miller. I don't know who he fights next. It doesn't really matter. Jim Miller, he's just in a situation where he's just going to be fighting. He's going to be fighting whoever they put in front of him, whatever makes sense. It could be, it
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It could be Kurt Hollabaugh. It could be Lando Venata. It could be, the newest, greenest lightweight on the roster. It could be Chris Duncan or Yanal Ashmouz. Who cares? They
should book Jim Miller versus Jake Paul for UFC 400 in 2036 or whatever it is.
That will be just about the right time for Jake Paul to fight him. He'll just about be old enough to qualify.
I really love John Jones. I liked watching him win because I really want him to retire as MMA's Floyd Mayweather. But this right here was my highlight.
Oh, yeah. This is the highlight of the night.
I was screaming. I was screaming. I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, did you see the gilly? This is how you do the gilly. Arm in gilly at that. Arm in gilly.
Jackson was tapping immediately. Like that choke went on and he was just like done.
Major buzz increase.
All right. That brings us to a lightweight bout. David Onama, Roberto Romero. And all credit to Romero. He did exactly what you do when you got a short notice fight, which is that you show up and you put as much of your game on your opponent as you can right out of the gate because they're not ready for you. They don't know anything about you. David Onama has watched, if he's lucky, he's watched 5 minutes of tape on you because you got signed 2 days ago. So go out there and just try to surprise him. And Romero did. I thought he won the first round. He didn't get it on any judge's scorecard. But
he got it on my scorecard.
Got it on my scorecard too. And then Onama rallied back, did a great job recovering, and won the next 2 rounds. But it was a great fight. Great
man. Romero showed the fuck up. Zero fear, went right at Onama. Nasty leg kicks, heavy hands, focused aggression. I mean, hats off to him. You want to talk about Yontop? This guy needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
I hope they won fight of the night, too. I hope they didn't give it to Oliveira and Chandler.
Oh, they did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
The moment you said it, I knew they did. And they did.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, it really
There was one momentum swing in that fight.
No. Onama Romero was
this first opening round was just bananas. Yeah. Absolutely bananas. The most bananas round of the entire card.
Great round, great fight, great performance from Romero. And from Onama, you know what? He went out there and he took care of business. He got shocked, and it makes sense. Like, Romero did exactly the right thing, and Onama rallied. And he looked good.
Came in as like a minus 1350 favorite, like 1,350 favorite, Onama did. And in the first round, he dropped to a minus 145. So shout out to everyone who picked him up at minus 145, knowing like, okay, dude just dumped his wad in the first.
Yeah.
He did his best. Now the veteran's going to take over here.
All right. That brings us to a heavyweight fight. Marcin Tybura, Jonata Diniz. And at first, I was like, man, you don't need to stop this fight. He's a little bloody. Like, we have seen such we saw Irene Aldana get her face like ripped half off.
Yeah. Last night, Amanda Serrano, her fucking from the headbutts, her whole thing was flapping and they let that go.
And so my first thought was, you don't need to stop this fight. Like, it just doesn't need to happen. But then they showed it again, and Diniz was cut, on both eyelids.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of thing where, There's not a lot that they can do if your eyelid splits off.
That's not why they stopped it, though.
No, why did they stop it?
Because he was wobbly, is what they were saying. They said he was too hurt in that sense. But like the eyes, like you're saying, the eyes were cut, and ultimately it's a sport.
Yeah.
You got to keep it a sport. I know Denise was fine. He could have kept going. Should he keep going?
I mean, that is the thing. Is it like, I would actually be fine if MMA stopped fights that way all the time, but they never do. So it's really weird to see it when it happens like that.
But the double eyelid cut,
that is actually like if your eyelid falls off, like I say, there's not a lot of like easy ways to put an eyelid back on.
Yeah.
You know?
Honestly, Herb Dean could have stopped it before the round ended.
Yes.
Or after the round ended. You can't be saved by the bell.
Yeah.
His corner literally weakened at Bernie's him to the corner.
Yeah.
That was kind of hard to watch. So I'm okay that they stopped it. It's a sport. You got to keep it a sport.
I knew I like Denise as a heavyweight prospect, but I knew going as like, you're not ready for Marcin Tybura's ground game.
Yeah. That's why I picked Tybura. I couldn't trust. So when Denise fought Carl Williams, he did really good with answering the takedown threat.
Yes.
But like Tybura is just a different animal.
Tybura will never fight for a title. He is not that guy. He almost got killed by Denise in the first round of this fight.
True. By the way, if you would have scored that first round for Denise, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think I did.
I did.
But he has a ground game that is unique. There are like 5 heavyweights out there who have a ground game like Tybura's, where they can actually ride and take your back and stay there, and they don't get tired from grappling. Like Tybura does not get tired from being on top of you and riding and grappling and rolling with you as a heavyweight. He doesn't.
Yeah, he can pass guard too.
And there are just not very many heavyweights who can do that. And very few heavyweights, especially young in their career like Denise is, are going to be ready for somebody who can do that. You know? It is a unique skill set that he has. Like, it is one of those things where when you not match Tybura up against a young, inexperienced heavyweight, I'm just going to pick Tybura because it's just like, you're not going to be ready for this.
Or like a severely one-dimensional heavyweight.
Yeah.
Like Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah. Well, Tai Tuivasa always fights like he just learned MMA yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, he fights like he's at a bar.
Yeah.
and the roof's on fire.
Yeah. But
excellent win for Tybura here. This was short notice for him. You know, Denise was supposed to fight Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Which, damn, I would have much rather seen that fight.
Yes, that is a fight that I actually was going to pick Denise. I picked Denise to win that fight.
Yeah, because Derek Lewis is notoriously poor at fighting skilled strikers.
Yep.
So, no, I'm with you on that.
So,
yeah, good for Tybura. You know, he came off the couch for this.
Yep. All right, and let's see. He's a ranked heavyweight. There's got to be a fight out there for him. I don't really care that much what it is, but you could do Marcin Tybura versus
Romanov.
Now, we already did that, and he beat Romanov. Romanov's not even ranked right now. I mean, you could do Marcin Tybura against Derek Lewis again. He got beat by Lewis way back in the day, and it's been 6 years. Otherwise,
I honestly don't care.
I know. I don't care either. Because otherwise, you just do like Tybura, Marco Sergio de Lima or something. Like, he just lost to Sergey Spivak, so you're not going to do like Tybura Blades or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and Stipe's gone. What about Almeida?
He's fighting Sergey Spivak.
Oh shit!
So, if he loses that fight, you could do Tybura versus Almeida. Yeah. Anyway, that brings us to a welterweight bout. Ramiz Brahimaj, Mickey Gall. And Mickey Gall was doing pretty good in this fight until he wasn't.
I mean, it was only 2 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was doing that good. I think he seemed more comfortable than ever in the pocket exchanges. I'll give him that. But not for a second did I think he was going to win this fight.
He's one of those fighters that it's just his game was so broken when he got to the UFC that every attempt to fix it has just revealed that there's some other bigger problem. You know?
He's just not really a dog like that.
Yeah,
he's got heart,
he's got
for sure.
But he's gotten way better as a striker, but now it turns out he's just brittle. You know?
He's not real venomous.
Yeah. I don't know.
Brahimaj is at least venomous. Everything he did was hard. Like the knees to the body, just everything he was doing was just stinging Gall.
This is the only time I've ever seen Brahimaj be venomous, so I was impressed by that. But yeah, he looked good. He's definitely, apparently there's some talk that he's been working really hard on his striking and getting a lot better with it in camp, and he looked like it. He looked like a better fighter than I've seen him be before. So
yeah, I thought he did fantastic out there.
Yep.
You picked Gall, didn't you?
I did.
Shame on you, Zane.
I have never been impressed by Brahimaj. I've never been impressed by Gall either. So I flipped a coin.
Well, he looked great. Gall looked great in that CM Punk fight. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he looked great against Sage Northcutt too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Sage. Where is he going? Is he going to Karate Combat? Where's Sage Northcutt?
He is battling God. That was the last fight that I had seen him have, was him quitting a fight on a day before because God told him that it was not the thing to do.
I thought it was because they wouldn't let his corner be there. Like they wouldn't.
Yeah, but then it was like God. He had a faith crisis that told him that was like the reason.
Well, I don't blame anyone for having a faith crisis when you're signed with one.
Yeah. He has left one as of October, so I would assume, I mean, if he's smart, he will do Karate Combat, but who knows?
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. Anyway. That brings us to a welterweight bout. Oban Elliott, Basel Hafez. And man, there are a few fighters that I have slept on as hard as Oban Elliott. I did not like his game at all when he got to the UFC. And the game that he's been building, I've been liking more and more. But even this fight, it's like I don't think he has the athleticism or the pop to deal with Hafez. But
he does.
He does. I'm in shock.
Man. Hafez was out there looking like 2024 Mike Tyson. He stood in one spot and just switched stances in one fucking spot. He didn't move at all. He didn't move his head. He didn't move his feet. Well, he moved his feet, but not literally or, laterally.
Elliott, to his credit, the big thing he's been working on as he's been in the UFC is being a good neutralizer, working on a snappy jab, making sure you don't leave anything to get hit easily, kicks, working on like low kicks and stuff like that, things that take tools away from your opponent, movement, all that. And I just think he just froze Hafez to death out there. Hafez didn't know what to do without getting a real easy target to go after all the time. He was just constantly overreaching, constantly worrying about overstepping himself. And then the other thing that I've been seeing out of Elliott that I was more and more impressed in, and I noted it going into this, and I'm still picking Hafez, but the thing I like about Elliott is that as a neutralizer, as a guy who's taking tools away from his opponent, when an opponent does get to a point that they are frozen up, that they don't know what to do, he turns it up and he puts it on people. Elliott starts going after people when they're frozen up, and Hafez froze up, and Elliott went out there and just put it on him. So
I think it was really those front kicks that he in the
Yeah.
first round. He was like, "This is the range you're going to stay at, bud,
yeah,
and you're not going anywhere else but this range."
you don't know how to close me down on anything other than a front line, and I'm going to put something on you every single time that's just going to freeze you right away.
What shocked me is the lack of takedown attempts from Hafez.
Yeah.
Like he thought he was just going to go stand with him, or was he that
I
frozen
mean, he's
at
a
range?
fighter who's always, I think he brawls his way into takedown. So without the ability to brawl, he just doesn't have a takedown game he could get to without that setup. It's just not that guy.
Nah. And he's defensively sloppy. He's so porous. I'm actually shocked JDM didn't knock him out.
I mean, that's the Hafez is a great case. He's a great reminder of one of my rules that is the hardest rule to fight against all times is never overrate a fighter after a good loss.
Yeah.
Just because a guy looks good losing a fight, that doesn't mean he's good. He still lost that fight. Keep that in mind.
Remember Joe Soto, who came off the couch to fight
Yes.
TJ Dillashaw, and it was like this crazy war?
Yeah.
Never did anything else after
No,
that.
it happens all the time in MMA. You get a great opponent at just the right time for you and just the wrong time for them, and you can have that one fight of your life. But that doesn't mean that like that's going to happen again.
I've seen it happen in a win. Remember when Cody Garbrandt fought Dominic Cruz?
Yeah.
That was like the greatest fighter I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
For 25 minutes. And then after that, it was like Cinderella or something. Once the clock struck midnight, it was a wrap.
Yep.
Poor guy.
So yeah, brutal loss for Hafez, but Elliott, like I've got to start really waking up on Elliott because having that game where you can shut people out of a fight and then turn it up and put it on them when they've already got to the point that they don't feel like they have any options, that makes you a dangerous fighter. Like that is a fighter with stages and plans on how to get to those stages, who's making reads, who's taking things away like that. You know, you can take that game a long way.
And with a name like the Welsh Gangster, it's about time he did some gangster shit.
Indeed.
This was gangster.
This was great fight for him. That brings us finally to Eduardo Moura, Veronica Hardy, and Moura just froze Hardy up for 2 rounds. Hardy finally figured it out in the end, but it didn't really matter by that point.
Yeah, Hardy she looked small out there against Moura, who was coming up from a weight class she couldn't make.
Yeah.
She looked good, though. She looked big, strong.
Yeah, she did a really good job. She did a really good job knowing Hardy was only going to come straight at her with her blitzing combos and just meeting Hardy with a really hard shot every time. Like Moura, her striking isn't as polished as Hardy's, but she was fast enough and powerful enough that it's just like, if you're going to step right in on me on a straight line and I can just hit you every time.
Yeah.
That took the game right out of Hardy.
And then icing her in the second round on the ground, which is her Achilles heel. Hardy's, she typically loses on the ground.
And then, Hardy's corner was like, you got to get in there and blitz and be fast and be first. And she did, and she won the 3rd round. But, she needed to find that earlier. So.
Well, one judge actually gave Moura the 3rd round.
Yeah, well, that judge sucks. Who cares?
No, I mean, it wasn't
a big dynamic thing. No, yeah. I know. It's fine.
Forgettable fight.
Yeah. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. We find us over on Substack, the Vivi 6th round Substack. It's in the description down below. And for those of you that are subscribers, we have a little bit of bonus content coming at you here in just a minute. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listen. You can find me on Twitter at the Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at the Eddie Mercado. You can find me on Substack at zanesimon.substack.com. And you can find both of us over on the hopefully soon to be rebranded promoguy.us. I still hate saying that out loud.
Better you than me, my friend.
But we're doing some writing over there these days. And we are going to be hopefully rebranding that website soon because, God, that name sucks.
Tell it like it is.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Adios.